Well, I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary, and this is Shadow. Well, the free version of Reedsy Studio still lets you create amazing books. It has a lot of features and a lot of functions, but now you can upgrade to add even more to the experience. For example, for $4.99 a month or $7.99 a month, you can add unlimited history, advanced stats, custom goals, daily check-ins, dark mode, unlimited boards, unlimited notes with attributes, pinned notes, list view, and dark mode, which comes in both the craft and the outline. Personally, I think it's a little odd that they separated the writing platform from the planning board, but each to their own, I guess. Now, today we'll be taking a look at the premium features of Reedsy Studio and decide on whether it's worth $13 a month. Now, before you get started, I do want to point out that if you pay annually for the system, it only comes up to $124.99 per year. That's because you get the annual discount of paying for a year in advance and a bundle discount if you add the craft and the outline to your account. Essentially, that makes a difference of $31-ish. Okay, we're going to start off by highlighting some of the features in craft, which is where you write your book. So in this instance, we're going to, right off the bat, on the bottom left here, we have the switch theme control, where we can cycle through day and night. Now I kind of like the dark mode version of this as opposed to using a plugin, and it's not too bad. Next up, goals is where most of the premium features are going to be housed. So in this case, we have the check-in. We can rate our session on how we feel today. That way we can go back and look to see, what works and what doesn't, I guess. I don't know. I probably would never use this tool. If we scroll down a little bit, we can add additional writing goals. So if we wanted to create a goal that will end tomorrow, we want to write 10,000 words. We can create the goal. But I'm not going to worry about that. Let's delete it. Next up is this area right here, the most used words and most used phrases. That's actually kind of handy, especially if you have a problem with redundancy, like I do. It's really common to repeat the same phrases that are in your head. You don't really think of them as being redundant until you actually start to read through your manuscript, and you can see how often you use certain terms. And you don't want to reuse the same thing over and over and over because it gets repetitious and boring. But most used words, most used phrases, that's really awesome. When you have a full manuscript, you can select whether you want to search this chapter only or search throughout the entire manuscript. Next up, we're going to look at the writing timeline. This also used to be free back in the day, but now they have it locked behind a paywall. You can create as many timelines as you'd like. This is handy if you want to go back in time to a previous saved manuscript of your story. So like if I want to go back to January 17th of 2025, I could, but I'm not going to because that will overwrite pretty much everything I just created. Now usually Reedsy will do this automatically on its own whenever you write, or you can create a whole new version yourself and title it whatever you'd like. So that way, if you have, say, first draft manuscript, and then you have repeated new versions, you can go back to the one that actually says first draft manuscript. So instead of just the date, you can label them. So those are the adjustments that are on the writing part of Reedsy Studio. Now let's take a look at the planning board. Now in the planning board, we're able to create as many of these as we'd like. It really depends on how in-depth you want to plan out your story. Some people may not even need this part. I like it because it gives you access to all these good tools right here. As for instance, the add the attribute option. So we can click to add an attribute. We can turn it into text or link. I usually put in, like when I was researching shadows, I put a YouTube video here so I'd remember where it was. But you can create number, text, checkbox, link, date, and relationship between resources. You can also add an image, and then you can create groups for a variety of purposes if you want to keep everything collected into one group. Then you can add all your icons and whatnots. You can delete it. Another option that you're not able to do in the free version anymore is hit the pin note. So if I wanted to pin this, I can. And pinning it allows me to access the information on the manuscript itself while I'm writing. So if I want to keep that, let's say we're going to go to the manuscript. Now it's going to be open, and I can close it and open it whenever I'd like. This is useful if you have a plan, or if you want to add or remember certain details for a person, place, or thing. I usually use it for the outline of my books when I'm writing, so I just check out things as I go of what I want to include in the book. And a new feature that they added to the planning board recently is the list view. Instead of a grid, which is what I normally do, you can now change it to be a list of all of your elements for that specific planning board, but I prefer to be in grid mode. Okay, so there you have it. It's not a lot of new add-ons to it. I do like the most used phrases and keyword or words rather in your manuscript. And like all the features that I was used to using for free, a lot of them are now locked behind the paywall. So is it worth $13 a month or $125 a year? I guess it really depends on how far you want to take Reedsy. If this is just a one-off, or if you only plan on writing one book a year, probably not. However, I have full intentions of publishing about 3 or 4 a year, so they might be worth it to me. I do like the attributes of using the planning board. Now, you can use the planning board, you just don't get to use all those cool attributes. You can still write in it, you just can't pin anything to the manuscript. So in the free version, Reedsy Studio is still a great app to use. In fact, I would use Reedsy Studio over something like LibreOffice every day. But the premium version of Reedsy Studio does give a lot of really cool things, especially if you're data-driven like myself. I love setting goals for a variety of purposes, and I really do like the idea of being able to scan through and find redundant phrases, something that AutoCrit does, but it's much more expensive than Reedsy Studio. I do like that they added the dark mode to it, though. That's kind of nice. I was using a plugin or an extension for Google Chrome, but with the home built-in version of dark mode, Grammarly Chrome extension works great in it. Sometimes it doesn't work so great with a dark mode extension in Chrome. So having Reedsy being able to do it naturally is very handy. And so far I've written and published Kingmaker through Reedsy, and I'm about to publish Shadows of Atlantic City, and I have plans for 2 more books this year, so it's definitely worthwhile for me. Now, my biggest concern about Reedsy Studio is that they added all of the premium features, and a lot of them were free at one point, and they didn't do anything to expand the formatting. In Reedsy, you still only have the 3 options for formatting in a certain font, unlike Atticus, which is completely customizable. And Atticus is only $150 for one time. It's not a yearly fee. So if Reedsy would have expanded a little bit more in its formatting capabilities, that'd have been awesome. Maybe dive a little bit more into the editing aspect, kind of like how they have the most used words. What about not redundant phrasing, but show versus telling, or at least some of the other things that I use in AutoCrit. That'd have been awesome too. But who knows? They might roll out something in the near future. So I'll keep my fingers crossed. Until then, I'm going to keep writing my books. I still enjoy using Reedsy, and I kind of like the expansion of the goals a little bit. Kind of disappointed that they locked a lot of stuff behind the paywall, but you got to make money at it. Anywho, it's still $125 a year. It's still, I don't know, it's on the fence for me for being expensive for what it has, maybe. Especially when you got things like Scrivener, which is only $50. Atticus is only $150. AutoCrit's $180 per year, but you get a ton of editing tools. So $13 a month, I don't know, it's not too bad, I guess. In the grand scheme of things, anyway. Anywho, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. For more reveals about self-publishing, blogging, freelance writing, or anything else I cover, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to the notification bell. At least it's going to do it for me today. I'm going to go back to writing my book in Reedsy. I'll see you next time.